Thank you, Navni sir. Uh, Good evening, good morning, depending upon the location wherever you are. Thank you all for joining in. Uh, Last 4 months, we have been conducting the personal finance webinar series. We had 3 webinar series previously. Today, we are going to have fourth session. Myself, Shanmugam, ME 2004 batch, Executive Committee Member Association. Um, uh, our speaker today is, of course, the previous session also the same speaker, our alumni, Mr. Subaya sir. He did his textile technology in the 1988. He also did his master's in financial management from Mumbai University. He did several certification courses. If I have to tell everything, then I need at least 10 minutes to read all those things. To specific about it, he has done 8 certification courses in NISM certification courses. He is also a certified financial planner. He is such a passionate person in the financial management. He owns Adapt Assets. He is a founder for Adapt Assets Chennai. Uh, we are lucky to have him in this personal finance webinar series. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time and effort for taking this series helpful for all our alumni to make them financially literacy and empowerment. There is a saying that instead of giving a fish, uh, we should help the people how to catch a fish, so that it will help for their entire lifetime. So that is the way motivation behind this arranging this webinar series, so that people can gain their knowledge by attending this series. And as you know, these are all already recorded sessions available. If you have not seen, please go and see the recorded versions. More and more you watch, you will get more and more gain knowledge. Every time you see, you will get a different perspective. So with this introduction, I will just hand over to Subhaya sir to take over this webinar. Thank you, sir.
So thank you, Shanmugam sir. As usual, you have been very nice in introducing. So thanks again. And thanks to Navani sir for this great initiative. You have been working more than me for the last 4 months. I've been working for some time, but you have been working more than what I'm doing. So thanks to you as well. I think, can we straight away get into the subject? Shanmugam sir?
Yes, sir. Navani sir, you
Yes,
want to
yes,
add
please.
anything, sir?
No, no, please go ahead.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Fine, fantastic. So let me share the screen. Shanmugam sir, just verify whether this is visible.
Yes, sir. We can see.
Great, sir. So let me start now. Let me, okay, fine. So welcome to every one of you who had, a Saturday evening, you were able to spare, to, I wouldn't say learn, but to, interact on the something on the financial management side of the personal side of the investor. So, welcome you. We had already done 3 sessions. This is the fourth one. So, as usual, let's talk money. This is what we start with. And I'll just recap for a couple of minutes. In session one, we started off in a very basic way. We started talking about, what is saving, investments, and went on to discuss about taxation, inflation, the compounding impact, all these things, which are the basic pillars of, um, constructing a personal finance program. So we discussed in the first session. Then in the second session, we dug a little deeper. We discussed what's an asset class, physical versus financial. Then we moved to capital structure, looking, more deeper into the financial asset side of it. We discussed debt, we discussed equity, then also some of the government sponsored schemes. Then we slightly went, advanced in discussing about REITs and InvITs. Then we went into how an equity is analyzed, how do you value equities. We took an example of an Apple farm to discuss that. Then we move to the third session, wherein a normal man, how he can get into the financial assets, the debt side as well as the equity side. So we discussed mutual funds in detail. We talked about, everybody says it's a mutual fund, but there are n number of schemes, 45 odd AMCs. So it becomes a little, and so many classifications of mutual funds. So it becomes a little tough for a common man, or even somebody who is little advanced also finds it difficult to pick up the schemes. So we discussed how these are classified and how they are taxed. What are the convenience of a mutual fund? We also discussed the various systematic options, the SIPs, STPs, SWPs, all these stuff. So we stopped there, but we were left with two more instruments, which is uh, PMS, what we call as portfolio management services, and something called AIF. Both are a bit advanced. So why I'm bringing it here is, if we discuss these two, we will actually be completing almost all the products where one can invest. So let's have a brief discussion about a PMS and an AIF. Now, every one of us know that mutual funds are pooled investments, right? So people come together, bring money, give it to a fund manager who manages it, gives returns, thereby the investor becomes richer. Now, the things we are going to talk about, one is the PMS, the other one is AIF. PMS, as it stands, it is for portfolio management services. Now, the point here is a mutual fund and an AIF, both are pooled investments, meaning you come together and put money. But PMS is not a pooled investment. Whenever you open a account, a PMS account with anybody, you are asked to open a separate demat account, a separate bank account, and a separate trading account. Whereas in mutual fund, you don't do that because the fund manager does everything. So this is one important thing you want to understand in a PMS. Now, who offers these services? Based on the service providers, we can say asset management companies offer them. Every mutual fund company almost have got their PMS arms. Brokerage houses, they have, the trading house, they also run their PMSs. And there are certain companies which focus only on PMS. They are not brokerage house, they are not AMCs, but they have PMS license and the PMS schemes. So this is based on the um, people who give these services. Now, based on the products, you can have an equity PMS, you can have a fixed income PMS, a commodity PMS, a multi-asset PMS, and also there is something called a mutual fund PMS. A PMS which in turn will invest in mutual funds. Now, this is very important. You open a PMS account. Now you tell the, a company who opened the account for you, they will say you would opt for a discretionary service or a non-discretionary service. The first one means you give the money to them, you have no say in what the fund manager is going to do. You given money, it is absolutely at the discretion of the fund manager. He will manage your money. As opposed to that is the other one, which is non-discretionary, meaning the fund manager will wait for you to give the input to him. He knows everything, but you will say, yeah, invest here, this much amount, all these things. So this is non-discretionary. And there is something called advisory, where the PMS manager would simply give you advice, but then execution will be done by the investor. This is another sort of classification. Now, on the operational side, um, the minimum investment needed for a PMS is rupees 50 lakhs, right? So this is one entry barrier. As I said, everybody will have a separate demat account. Very important. practical aspect of whether to invest through a PMS or through a mutual fund is on the tax reporting. This is not something which can be brushed aside, because I've seen people who have got both PMS and mutual funds find it very, very convenient to report mutual funds. I'll tell you why. You have opened a PMS account and you have a portfolio of mutual fund schemes. Now, what happens in a mutual fund? You buy at a certain NAV, hold it for say 5 years. At the end of the fifth year, you sold that at a particular NAV. So you have to report only these two entries. In between 4 years, there is no need for you to report your purchase price NAV, sale price NAV. So the difference is your capital gains. You report on the year in which you sold it. Depending on whether it is short term or long term, you pay the taxes. But the transactions do take place. Please understand this. The entire 3-4 years wherein you stayed invested, or 5 years, the transactions definitely take place at the fund manager level. He keeps on buying and selling, but none of the transactions are to be reported. In fact, they will not even report that to you, right? Now, in a PMS, since it is your own demat account, your own banking account, every transaction done during the year will have to be reported, and accordingly, whether that is a long term or short term, the taxes needed to be paid. So this is one very interesting difference you need to understand. Okay. Now let's move to alternative investment funds. So in the initial remark, I said this is also pooled investment, except there is a difference that this is a privately placed investment. In mutual funds, you will see a new fund coming and flashing on the papers, NFO, new fund offer. Whereas in AIF, it is not through a public document, it is actually through a private document. But then rest of the process is quite similar in terms of taking money, pooling that into investments, getting it up, making them to appreciate, and then the returns given to investors. To that extent, it is common, but there is a lot of difference between a mutual fund and an AIF. Now, this fund generally tries to collect money from sophisticated investors because the fund generally undertake complex investments. Let's see some examples. Okay, before that, let me also say an important classification which says there are basically three types of AIFs: category 1, category 2, and category 3. What are they? Category 1 will collect money and invest in some of the examples which are given here. Venture capital. They are actually a bit of, on the risk level, they go slightly higher. Small and medium enterprises funds, social venture funds. There are many funds which are coming in that area. Then, of course, the infrastructure funds. So you have category 1 investing in these. I'm just giving some examples. What is category 2? Before seeing category 2, I'll move to category 3 and come back to category 2. What does category 3 do? They employ very complex trading strategies, like a hedge fund. They can go long on derivatives, they can go short as well as, they can have long short, all these strategies. So this is called category 3. Category 1, I said something. Category 3, I'm showing something here. Now the definition for category 2 is any fund which do not fall in category 2. And sorry, this should be category 1. My apologies for it. Any fund which do not fall in category 1 or category 3 will become category 2. Now what do? They generally don't undertake leverage. Whereas category 3 can, get into complex strategies, which also include leverage or borrowing. So AIF, there are 3 types. This is what you need to understand. Now, What is a close-ended fund and open-ended fund? Most of you would be knowing it, but still, let me explain this. A close-ended fund will open for a particular time period. Say it is open for example 10 days. The money is collected by them. Then for 3, 4, whatever number of years they decide, that will be closed. You cannot get out of that. Then at the exit time, the money, whatever is appreciated along with, or even depreciation, whatever it is given to you. So in between period, this remains closed, no entry and no exit. Whereas in an open-ended fund, entry is anytime, like most of the mutual funds where we invest. With us, you can get into today's NAV, you can get out on tomorrow's NAV. Even mutual funds have some close-ended schemes, right? Now, very important thing here, category 1 and 2 are required to be close-ended, whereas category 3 may be open-ended or close-ended. There is no question of why so and why such things. All, well thought out regulations, enough flexibility given to get for any company to get into any product space. Now, interesting thing is the minimum investment needed here is one. So let me classify in this way. A mutual fund does not have a minimum investment requirement. A PMS has a 50 lakh minimum requirement, and an AIF will have 1 crore minimum requirement. There is something called accredited investors. There are certain qualifications for them to become an accredited investors. In those case, the minimum amount investment can be reduced from one. So that is, we cannot discuss all these things because even simple one AF might we can discuss for even 2 hours. Not only that, if you look at the taxation also, um, type 1, type 2, type 3, they each have different, you know, um, tax angles, the various kinds of cash flows which come from them, either that is through interest or through return of capital or through dividends. All these will have a deeper, discussion, which is beyond the scope of this presentation. Now, with this, we had covered, including today's discussion so far, and in the last previous 3 sessions, we had covered almost anything, everything in the financial asset space. There is nothing more to discuss. Of course, you can discuss in detail each and every one for hours, but then we had covered almost everything. We have not left anything. So this till now, till this minute, we had discussed what do you call the conceptual part of investments or the product side of the investments which are available to you. So we will now move to the next side of it, which is a very interesting side, very, very, unexplored, I would say. Everybody would say, I know all these things, but then they practice very less of that, which is the softer side of the personal financial management. Till now, we had covered the harder side, which are basically concepts. Now, let us move to the soft side. John Bogle used to say, half of your returns comes from the investment products and half the returns comes from you. I've just we done this. So some of your returns are determined by where do you invest, but some are even better. Some is decided by the kind of person you are. Now, what kind of person you are? Knowledgeable, delayed gratification, patience, willing to wait till the compounding takes place, all these things. So, I would want everyone to focus on the remaining slides more because markets will definitely give their returns. But whether you are capable of taking that return depends on you and your qualities. I've seen if you're a stock investor, a single stock has given superlative returns to somebody, and the same stock has given horrible returns to somebody. In fact, that has drained the capital of that particular stock is the same. leave the timing out, even by holding the same stock, people had experienced different returns. So the difference is actually created by you, the investor. We'll see that. Now, I would generally say the investing framework need to have certain pillars. One is, which I generally tell to whomsoever I interact with, the real position. We'll see what it is. Are your investments based on goals? Because life is full of goals. The mere idea of investing money by cutting down today's consumption is to have a better, brighter, happier future consumption. Other than this, everything is, optical or noisy. So when you put your money, are you framing something in your mind where this money is going to work for? Instead, people generally think tomorrow how much it will become. How much is something which can easily distract people. So goal-based investing, are you doing it? Are you properly allocating your assets, equity, debt, gold, inside debt, long-term one, short-term one, AAA, AA, all these things. Now, we only talk about investing, but every person has two sides. One is the other asset side, the other one is the debt he carries. Forgetting debt management, only trying to manage your investments is only, it's an empty vessel actually, right? So one should focus on that. And one should also have a very disciplined financial life. Let us see some of them. The real position. Now, when I interact with my clients or anybody who is interested in discussing finance, superfluously they will be able to tell what they are worth about. But I'll tell you, if you dig very deep, not everybody is able to tell exactly, give a very clear picture in 2 minutes. What are my revenues? What are my expenditures? And how much assets do I own? And how much liabilities do I owe? You might think I'm joking, but this is once the webinar is over, you just go back, uh, try to think for 2 minutes and write one single figure, close that figure, and then take out a paper and work for 1 hour, write all these things, find out that figure. These two figures will be different for sure. So this is one thing. I want every one of us to understand what I am worth for in terms of the cash flows I get, in terms of my net worth, right? So if you look at the revenues, even while filing IT returns, if you are a salaried person, you miss, reporting the interest incomes. Now there are so many stock investors here, or even outside. If you ask them how much dividends you received during this financial year, the figure at best only can be an approximation. So the whole idea is, be very clear before you venture out, put your money into investments, be clear about yourself as to what are your revenues. Now, how much business income do I have? Salary, what is it? Interest from, various debentures, fixed income, bonds, or even bank deposits. How much do you get? How much rental side do I have? But I'm sure people will brush this argument, but the fact says something different. On the expenditure side, you have a discretionary side and you also have a non discretionary side. Non discretionary, you cannot escape, like the rent you pay, the clothing you want to have, the kind of food one would like to have, the movements, basic travels, medicals, most important, insurance premium. People consider insurance premium not as a non-discretionary thing. They think if I have the money, we will pay it. But I would say that should rank in the top of the non-discretionary item. On discretionary side, of course, entertainment, the gifts you would like to give, the travel you would like to have, the hobbies, subscribing to some clubs, all these stuff. So on the income side, you list out all your revenues. On the expenditure side, again, break up them into discretionary and non-discretionary. Now let's move to the liability side. You have, all the options in the world to get a loan under different heads. Some of them are written here. And I would like to, home loan, car loan, education loan, very common. But the remaining two, very common but dangerous ones. Personal loan, other loans. You just go to the net and compare a home loan interest rate and a personal loan interest rate, right? Number one. And a credit card due, if somebody missed a payment, how much do they get in the next statement? That also you can check. Most of them do not know that if they do not pay the entire credit card dues in one go and they pay the minimum amount due and all these things, the entire amount which is unpaid till now is charged interest from day one of the purchase. They think that 50 days credit period is there, but they do not know that if you don't make it full, then the balance will accrue interest. And you know what is the interest rates on credit card dues, right? So this is on the liability side. Now on the asset side, which is very common because we all talk the investments a lot more than the liability side. So you can just say, except that nowadays we see many people having ESOPs. So this is one thing. If someone of you have an ESOP or vested on you, you can think more into it, like when, how you can track closely your company's financials and how they are likely to perform. All these things you can focus on. Right, fantastic. Now, why we discussed the real position? Real, as it stands for, is the revenues, expenditures, assets, liabilities. Why one needs to understand this? Because this is the basic chemistry which will lead you to a good investment journey. Understand your cash flows. Why you understand this? Then you will understand, okay, my revenues should definitely be more than my expenses. If the expenses, even the discretionary one, is very high, I need to increase my revenue. So cash flow start as the basic point. Or in other words, if I have a limited income, let me try to reduce my expenses below that income. Either way, you tend to have higher savings rate. See, we never discuss this. I tell everybody the compounding rate where do you invest and the savings rate through which you can create capital, which is important. Savings rate is much more important than the compounding rate. People focus on compounding rates, but that is only given by the markets and over a period of time. That is not in a control. But what you can do is, even if the compounding is less, you can create more capital and give it to the compounding machine. Let it compound at a slower rate, but let the capital be a larger one. So this is the idea. Now you save higher, that either you can use that savings to reduce your liabilities or vice versa, that will go into increasing your asset side. Either way, your net worth keeps going higher, meaning the assets are larger or higher than your liabilities. Now, what do these assets do? They produce more cash flows. So it's something like seeding for a plant, growing it bigger and bigger like a big tree. So reduce your liabilities, increase your assets, increase your net worth. These net worth, which in turn will produce cash flows, you can enjoy. Let us move slightly away from the the discussion we had on the real side, which is revenues, expenses, assets, and liabilities. Having an organized, disciplined life, financial life, will make you, focused, very dedicated, which in turn will make your investment journey less complex. So have proper goal-based investing. Number one, we'll see them. Have very clear document management. Investment, you show your brilliance in investing, but very pathetic in managing those documents. How do you manage your debt? For me, managing my debt is more important than managing my investments, because debt is where the holes will be created in the boat. Sinking ship, it can result in. Then, lastly, whatever accumulated, how one is planning to make it safely moved into the persons whom he dreamt for, right? We'll see all these four in very short formats. So, goals, we all know we have needs, we have wants, we have dreams, and of course, we need to give away. So, look at the needs, very simple: emergency, education, monthly budgets, insurance payments, taxes, some lifestyle expenses, right? So they are all basically very short in nature, and they're also very immediate in nature, but they are nevertheless goals. You need money for them. One is that. Second is move slightly upgrade yourself, their wants. You know, somebody do not have a home, but nowadays the concepts are very, youngsters are picking up, rent versus buy, all these things are happening around. But still people would like to have an upgraded house, higher education in a Ivy League kind of college, marriage, normal if it is a lavish marriage, luxury car, vacations maybe outside the country, and not only simple retirements, but a very lavish kind of retirements. All these are, derived out of your wants. Look at your dreams. People now talk about, I will, by the time I'm 40, I retire. Fire means financial independence, retire early. Everybody talks about it, but I have very different views on it. Let us not discuss them now, but they have such dreams. Startups, accumulate a lot of money. What is the goal? To create startup or fund some startups. Hobbies, right? Hobbies will take time and money, but they want to have it. Sabbatical, people want to work for 5 years, take 3 years sabbatical. Who will fund for during those sabbatical? And those sabbaticals are not going to be very frugal. They want to maintain the same lifestyle but still want to not to work. That is there. Or take a 4 months Himalayan trip when they are 35 or 40, travel. And people want to gift also. Gift not very small one. They want to gift, even a parcel of land, something like that. Okay. So life legacy, after all, you are not there to consume all you earned through during your lifetime. It is meant for the spouse, the children, some others who are very important in your life, and obviously to parents, and to do charity also. So these are the various types of goals we discussed. So how do you do it? First of all, clearly note down all your goals with clear clarity, and also on the time during which the goal will come alive, right? Number one is that. Number two, every goal will need money, so you cut down on your present consumption to make money for your future consumption. So figure out what is the money needed at the end of that particular goal's tenure. Now, to achieve that money, assign your current assets wherever you have this deposit is meant for my daughter's education, something like that. Assign them, find out the gap, then also decide on the asset allocation. To achieve this, how much of equity should I have, how much of debt should I have? Having decided on these, start a monthly investment program towards these goals. Add to whatever, however much you can add money for these goals. So while doing this, session one, we discussed very deeply into the impact of inflation and impact of taxation in building your wealth, which you need to build into your calculation. So please do that. While you do this, when you travel for goals, all YouTubes, the Facebooks, the Twitters will make you deviate from your investment program. They will make you forget about your goals, and they will make you only focus on what was the NAV yesterday and what is the NAV today. So ignore all of them. Do track returns, but not on a very frequent intervals. By looking every day, the market is Sensex is not going to go up by 500 points because you wanted it. It will go only when it wants to do it, right? So that is it. Highest returns. Most of the discussions on investment, whenever you see two people talking about it, I've doubled my money, I've tripled my money. Remember, you want at the end of a reasonable part of your life period, you would like to go back and see, did I achieve my goals, or did I achieve 38% on particular stock during this period, which is more relevant to you. Obviously, the second part will never not even come to your mind once you travel down the life lane. So please focus on getting reasonable returns or whatever it is, it depends, but on the goals, not on getting the highest returns from a particular investment, not possible. So that is what I said. Accomplishing goals are more important than getting the highest possible returns. Decide against quick returns. That's only logic, right? So let's move to the one more pillar of personal financial management. This is Benjamin Franklin. I like this quote very much. He said rather go to bed without dinner than rise in debt. Makes a lot of sense to me. If you're hungry, be hungry, but then don't get up in the morning with feeling that I need to pay this fellow today. It's better not to have something in your stomach, but rise in a more, what you call responsible, or even a person who has got a lot of respect within yours. So this is one thing which I like very much. Right now, you know very clearly your net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. The idea should be to have your net worth higher, at least positive, and positive of a very high order. Now, why I say this is, you when you walk on the road, you will find somebody having a Rolex watch with the iPhone in his hands and driving a Jaguar, but you wouldn't know that he has got a couple of crores of loans payable to some financial company. You wouldn't know that. On the other side, somebody is living in a normal area, very frugal, lives in a small flat, but he has got, say, a 10 lakh rupees of fixed deposits, but does not have any loan. The financial formula says this second person is richer than the first person. So one needs to decide where one wants to be, right? So this is the idea of this particular thing. Now, on the debt management side, loans are good or bad. I will leave it to you to come to your own conclusions. There are bad loans, there are good loans. Now, how do you define them? A good loan is one which makes you purchase assets, which in turn produce income for you, right? Either that, or the money which is through a loan used to buy some assets which doesn't give you income, but actually but increase in its value. So if you are going to buy them, then you are into good loan. Some examples, again, you can debate on it. A home loan, right? Generally it appreciates a home, and it also, if it is for rentals or a period of time, it can help you out. A home loan. And some arguments say even an education loan should be a good one, because what we all say is, you give a person an education, he will definitely shine for himself. So during those 4 or 5 years, if you're unable to give education because of lack of funds, probably the life can be very different if the person is not educated. So if you are very convinced that this education loan is going to change this fortune of a particular person, taking a loan against that is not a bad idea. Okay, what are bad loans? Opposite. They are used to purchase very fast depreciating assets. And also, they don't produce income streams. Right? An example, car, I don't say it, but people say it's a Car loan is also thing because I consider car because it gives your productivity, it shoots up your productivity, all this stuff. Simple example is electronics, particularly all those luxurious electronics. A TV screen for 2 lakh rupees, maybe on EMI, right? Personal loan, absolutely fine, but for a holiday, right? Now, the worst form of bad loans are credit cards dues unpaid on time. I have seen many statements of some people. The interest amount is almost equal to the purchase amount, right? Horrible, isn't it? Now, stupidest thing to do is withdraw money using your credit card. I've seen 1,000 rupees withdrawn, 500 rupees cash withdrawal charges. Have you seen this anywhere? 1,000 rupees taken out of the ATM machine, but 500 rupees charged to your credit card. So net, you paid 50% of the cash as, and on this 1,000 rupees, you also end up paying interest. Very easy way to go broke, right? Now, how do you do this? What do you do this? Basic understanding of psychology, instant gratification. I want something very immediate. So, what do? You end up spending. If you have money, you spend it now. You don't have money for tomorrow. If you don't have money, you won't go for unnecessary loans. So, instant gratification will make you spend more, go for loans. Delayed gratification leads to saving habits, which gives you good financial life. Nowadays, you see buy now, pay later. You know, even if you buy vegetables through an app for 200 rupees, the guy is prompting you to go for BNPL. Simple, pay 40 rupees or pay zero, whatever it is. And there are people who have done this. They have enough bank balance, but still, they do it. That is again, it's a very bad form of loan. I would advise rather, this BNPL leads you to paying EMIs. I would rather say, pay now, buy later. Pay now for yourself. Accumulate money and you buy something later. For that, you will actually do an SIP instead of doing an EMI. So, EMIs, instant gratification, SIPs, delayed gratification. Practice, as I said, pay now, buy later instead of BNPL. Make sure your home loans are not more than 30-40%, but this is only subjective. 10% here and there, that is fine. Your EMIs should never come in the way of your savings habit. Many people run on EMI machines for so many years that they completely miss out on savings. And most important, but least respected, is live within means. Good if one follows that. Use credit card for convenience only. And whatever loans you have, you prepay them with whenever you have some surplus flows like bonus, incentives, all these things. Clear very high interest bearing loans first. Example, all these personal loans, the credit card dues. Lifestyle expenses, if you need it, your family needs it, fine. But for impressing society, if you do it, then you'll bear the cost of it sooner than later, right? Now, one interesting bait is whenever you log in, you have a pre-approved loans into a bank site. You have pre-approved this, pre-approved that. So pre-approved is something which is not good for you, which is something very bad for you. It's a bait. You feel some adrenaline kicking in, apply it, take the money, right? So don't do it. Let's move, I think, last but one of the discussions, document management. This is what the unclaimed money lying in. This is, I think, 1 or 2 years before the data. This is, you have PF money unclaimed, you have bank accounts unclaimed, you have inactive mutual fund accounts, LIC policies, insurance is lying unclaimed, fixed deposits. So people work very hard to make this money, but they remain unclaimed. Why? Because people do scattered investments across various products, across various advisors, across various banks, across various platforms, but not consolidated. No information to the family on various financial dealings. Tax planning. You have never had the plan to invest, but somebody comes for some tax planning, you made an investment, but then you save the taxes. That is it. But what happened to the investment? You don't. A very interesting thing I'm finding nowadays, everybody is focused on their professional life, or maybe apparently focused on their professional life, and then the family and personal life, they tend to take it to the back seat. They don't care. They save money, they spend money, family also joins them, but then the backup plan is completely absent. Everyone toils to make every additional unit for the family and create investments, but then they don't keep records of the same. Right? Why this happens? Number one, procrastination. I'll do it tomorrow. I'm very tired today. I have a meeting today. Don't disturb me. All these things happen. Procrastination. Or in some cases, I found is they save money for the family, but then they find it very complex to discuss money with the family members. Because if I discuss this, they will think this. Where if I tell my son or daughter I have this much money saved for them, they might think I'm very rich and they'll start spending from their own hands. So these things also create a lot of complexities, but then you have to design your own way out of this complexity, but make sure you keep your records straight. All these things, bank accounts, mutual fund folios, demat accounts, insurance documents, property documents, your EPF. None of the housewives do not ever come to know what is the EPF balance lying in husband's account. How much he will get in graduate. Nobody knows. PPF, loan, credit card details, wills, power of attorneys, details of all your chartered accountant, mutual fund, PMS, AF, insurance advices, everything should be recorded, right? Fine. I think we'll move to the last portion of our discussions. Now, you made all the hard work in the world to make money for you. You made enough money for yourself, and you also made enough money for the future, and also you made enough money for giving to the family, right? Now, as a breadwinner, every person has very clear wishes for the distribution of his wealth post his life. To whom, to give how much. Everything has got a dream. Ask everybody, you got 10 lakh rupees of FD, he will immediately, this is meant for this purpose and this person. There's a parcel of land lying in that is for somebody, everything. But the tragedy is it doesn't keep this in records, meaning which it doesn't create a will. So a will make sure that his dreams are executed properly. In the absence of will, what we call it is interstate succession, wherein the person's wishes nobody will come to know, so it will not happen as per his wish, but only by the operation of law, the succession acts, Indian Succession Act, the Hindu Succession Act, the Muslim personal law, all these things are there. So if the will is not made, the assets may not go to the beloved ones in a way he wanted, he or she. Law will not take preferences into account. So now you tell me getting a 12%, uh, he has got 20% return in some stock is more important, or creating a will is important. The financial journeys should be all inclusive. We focus 90% on how much returns I got, but 10% on this, and then that just simply believe it. So proper estate planning prevents a family from financial and legal grief. Right? So what are the benefits of proper estate planning? The personal preferences are realized. Somebody have an estate, but they wanted to make sure that this, even for his class one heirs, even the sons or daughters, he may wants to make sure this doesn't go into the wrong here. There could be bad apple in a family itself, but the law will give them if there is no will. But the person, the breadwinner, might think it should not go to him because he might have done damage to him, right? Creditors, the family has to be protected from the creditors of the person. It also helps in some relaxation in the taxes, stamp duties, etc. The transfers are very smooth, no delay, the disputes are avoided if a proper estate planning is done. Now, how do you do it? There are some, I mean, I'm giving some important things, but there could be more. You write will, people create trust, they can give gifts and insurance, which is one of the very beautiful way of creating an estate. But then that is beyond the scope of our presentation. So, how do wills play out? It's a legal declaration of the testator, meaning the person here, with respect to what? To his properties, both financial as well as physical, which he desires into, to whom these should go post his life. So he makes a declaration. This is called a will. This ensures smooth transfer, we discussed, without any complications, and it makes his wishes come true. Now, what are the important things in a will? A legal declaration. If one has made an earlier will, that has to be revoked, meaning cancelled. This is my latest will, last will, that is what they write. An executor has to be appointed. There has to be witnesses, and there has to be a residue clause, meaning whatever right here, even anything left out or beyond this, they will come under your residue property. These are essential ingredients of a will. Now, some important points on wills, people do confuse on these things. Should I register? Should I not register? So they are not compulsory, but desire, because when it goes for probate, if it is a registered will, that has got more, what do you call, respect. You can express your views. It can be in any language. Not necessarily you should write technical words and all. But even if you're writing technical words, make sure you're not creating any ambiguity in your wishes. It need not be on a stamp paper. And on top of it, it can be a handwritten will also. But I would suggest you type it because some illegible writing can create some problem. Now let's move to trust. Will is testamentary, post his life. Now a trust can be made while the person is living, even after his life also. So what happens here? He earmarks some of the properties, his own properties, into a trust. A trustee is appointed, and then he marks beneficiaries under those trusts to whom that property should be used. So essentially, it's a relationship between three parties. One is the transferor of the property, who is essentially the creator of the trust. Holder of the property, who will receive the properties from this person, who are basically the trustees of the trust. And for whom these properties are meant for are the beneficiaries. So it's an entity which holds the assets for the benefit of beneficiaries. Now, trust is a never ending subject. It can run into pages and pages. But basic ingredient, there should be an author, a creator, a settler of the trust. There has to be a trust and trustees. There should be beneficiaries. And whatever properties that is given should be clearly titled properties. And the trust should have very clear objectives. To the beneficiaries, in what way, in what percentage, what timelines, all these things should be defined in a trust. Now, important, benefits, asset protection for the family. You plan for your taxes. There are many instances how they save taxes. Protect beneficiaries against their own inability to manage. There could be some special child, or there could be somebody who has got very bad habits, cannot manage his own money, so you can create trust. An employer can create trust for the pension plan for employees. And the properties which are transferred, they are not under probate. You can do charities. You can preserve your family wealth also. Type of trust. If you read any succession planning book, you will have 3-4 pages running into it. But generally, on the basis and purpose, you can say it's a public trust or a private trust, or there could be various parameters like what are the intent for which I'm creating a trust based on intention, whether it is discretionary or non-discretionary, meaning the powers given to trustees to manage it, whether this is revocable or not, meaning you create a trust, can you cancel the trust or not cancelable? So all these things, but then they are very deep in detail. We are not going to take it. So with this, I will close here. So Navani sir, uh, Shanmugam sir, uh, you can come out with your comments. I'm done with my presentation. Thank you.
Let us have questions from participants if there are any. Ravi, can they ask questions or they have to chat or enter in the chat box?
No, sir, they have to do the chat box. They have to use the chat box.
Okay, I request any of you
Question
having
and
any
session.
questions? Yeah.
Seems like there are no questions, sir.
No questions. Now, next point I want to say is that this webinar, like our Chennai chapter organizes many events and they are all various categories. We have events for entertainment, events for imparting knowledge or gaining knowledge.
Ravi, sir, Navani sir, Mr. Raj Samurai is raising his hand. Can Ravi allow him to ask question? If
Yeah, that will be better. If Ravi could allow somebody to ask questions.
I'm saying Mr. Raj Samurai is raising his hand, that is what the message I'm getting.
Just a second. Just a second. Raj sir, can you talk now?
Raj sir,
Sir, I can read his question.
yeah,
I think from Ram Prakash, I
Ram
think.
Prakash, but there was a hand raised by Mr. Raj Samurai. That is
Raj
what
Samurai.
Uh,
Raj Samurai.
I request Raj Samrai, you also type your question. I will read out to Subhaya, sir. Sir, can we take up Ram Prakash question?
Yeah, sure, sir.
His question is, as a beginner, what are the certification you would suggest for us to begin our career in finance industry?
Okay. So very clear question, because I was about to ask, certification with respect to your own financial management or with respect to building a career in finance industry. Generally, I would say post your engineering, if you're able to do an MBA, that will open up a lot of spaces. And if you're able to do a CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst, that should help you a lot. These are longer duration courses. That is what I would say. But then there are, if you want to have capsules, like I want to understand a bond market, I want to understand how insurance works or a tax management, then you can get into NISM certifications or even NSC certifications, where you would find at least 20, 30, 40 courses for you. You can also do a certified financial planner, or the moment there is something called chartered wealth manager. So it is abundant. The idea is, I would simply say, if you're young enough, you can get into college and get your MBA or CFA done. A CFA is not a college one. Then you get higher up in the order, from where you can add on all those captions. Is that fine, Mr. Ramprakash? You can type it up. If you want to have a detailed discussion, I am available. You can get in touch.
Subhaya, sir, can you share your one slide wherein your email ID and phone number, so
Sure,
that
sir.
user can.
Sure, sir. I'll do that. I'll stop sharing this. I'll do that.
Nina is also asking.
Yeah, that's right. This is my
That's
number.
good. Thank you.
This is my number. So anybody would like to have more idea on whatever we discussed, I'm there always. Even if I miss your call, I'll call. Like, you can send a message so that I don't leave that as some unknown number. So there are more questions on that, it seems. Q&A. Dina Dayalan Pillai sir.
I will read out Dina Dayalan sir question, sir.
Yeah.
Do you believe in cycles of prosperity in stock market? If so, when do you predict the current cycle and send and send?
Okay. So you have, I think Shanmugam sir should be more apt to answer this question, but let me try this. Post that you can also try answering this, sir. I do believe in cycles of prosperity. I wouldn't say prosperity, they have cycles, right? Now, I believe in them, but then prediction game, I'm not there because you have longer cycles, you have shorter cycles, you have ultra short cycles. Where do you want to position yourself? I wouldn't know that. Now, I would suggest to you, uh, you know, uh, I forgot his name. There is one book called Mastering the Market Cycles. Howard Marks, correct. You can please note it, sir. Author is Howard Marks. He written two books. Most important thing, one name of the book is Most Important Thing. Beautiful book. And then Mastering the Market Cycles. You are asking a very precise question. I am giving a very precise answer. You read them, read that book, probably you wouldn't even put this question again because he says the cycles are going to be there. They will stay forever as long as markets are going to be there. Cycles are going to be there. But prediction game is not important. But what is important is if the cycle goes into it in a particular way, how do I respond? That is the more important thing. So again, we can discuss this on and on, sir. It can go on. So I would request you to buy this book and read it. So we'll
I
definitely
have
come to conversation. Yes,
I have downloaded the book. I will right away send it to in the chat box.
yeah, but I would say not to share in
Okay.
you may have some however all these books you can speak to Dinayalan sir and then one-on-one would be better. That would
Yeah.
be
Okay. Fine. Sir.
Subhaya sir, can you just tell me the name of the book once again?
yeah. One is he has written two books, sir. One is Mastering the Market Cycles. The other one is most important thing. Maybe I'm missing some more. The words can be jumbled here and there. But look for go to Amazon and look for Howard Marks. Howard, Howard, Marks,
Howard
Marks.
Marks.
You can see his video. I'll tell one thing about Howard Marks. He also writes memos. Now, Warren Buffett. Everybody talks about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett says, whenever there is a memo at a frequency jumps into my mailbox, I leave everything and go and read his memo first. This is what Buffett says. So please read that, sir. Fine, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So I think these are the questions. Mr. Ram Prakash said, that's fine. Great. So any other questions?
Raj Samurai has raised his hand.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ravi, sir, can he able to talk? Raj Samurai?
Yes.
He has to
Raj,
unmute and probably, but
Raj, can you unmute and talk? Yes. Yes, go ahead, Raj.
Accidental. Raj, are you able to hear us?
Yes, it is audible. Please continue.
What's your question, sir?
Okay. Since there is no response from Raj,
I think he unmuted himself also. I'm seeing the mic is on, but somehow he's unable to speak.
he has the option to write on the chat box even now, or the question box, question answers place. Either of the place he could type it. I think let us proceed with the thing. In case something comes up from him in the chat box or the question answer session, we'll attend to it or we'll proceed.
Yes, sir.
Shall I give my remarks? See, gentlemen, the aim of this webinar is that now I am 70 years old. In my life experience, what I have seen is most of the people in India, even if they are doing very well, they are earning a lot, still they do not know about investing. Most people of my contemporaries, probably people of 50 years and above, they think fixed deposit as the investment. They don't think of other modes of investment. They think it's all highly risky and things like that. Some people are thinking even the insurance, life insurance as an investment. The agents of life insurance, they promote like that. Now, these are all very, what do you call, low return investments, maybe very safe, but you are depreciating your money than making money out of it. So one should go by the basic principles which Subhaya had brought out. They are universal principles. Those things you should understand. You should start early. I'm just giving few of them. You should let it compound. Don't think of a high return every day. Let it compound. It will become high after 5 years, 10 years because of the compounding effect. So those are the very important aspects one should. Now, yes, your money should be dynamic. Money should not be idling in the bank. People say, I will accumulate 1 lakh, then I'll invest 1 lakh. Don't do that. Every month, what you can invest, you invest. When you get a money, he brought out today in the pillars of finance, personal finance, that you have revenue, you have expenditure. After prioritizing these two, you should not make revenue minus expenditure, then invest. Then you will not achieve your goal. You set a goal, make a practical goal, and decide how much you can invest based on your income or the revenue, and cut down the expenditure wherever possible to achieve that. Then you are achieving the goal. If your expenditure is more priority, obviously you are not going to achieve it. But certain expenditures like ill health and things like that are priority one, that you should address to it. So this aspect of managing your money is very important. That is why the basic principles you should learn thoroughly, understand thoroughly, and then the basic pillars of the investment, which is going to secure your money when you need it, by you or by your family. These two things you should remember. Like in our chapter, we are organizing many events. Some of them are knowledge, imparting knowledge. Some of them entertainment. Some of them are social interaction, getting to know, motivating you, spreading gore among us. The last one is the financial literacy or the financial management. Now, all of them are important. Which is the most important? Any of you can say? Anybody? You can write it in the chat box or chat box. Okay, I'll answer it. Let us not waste our time. First, your health. If you are healthy, you will make more money. If you are not healthy, you will not make money. So kindly look after your health, which normally nobody tells you. That is the first thing. And thereafter, obviously, making more money by legal means or correct means. For that, You have to work hard. This is a continuous process. The taxation rules keep changing. The inflation keeps changing. The returns offered by various instruments keep changing. So you should be vigilant to update your knowledge. You should be aware of what is happening around the world. Now, is the world war going to come? What I should do? I'm just giving a hypothetical environment. Now, then that will help you to secure your money at an appropriate time. So now if you are a novice and you do not know anything, or you do not know much knowledge about it, it is better to go to a consultant. Like when you are ill, we all know paracetamol helps fever, but if the fever persists 4 days, 5 days, then what do? You go to a doctor and you pay to the doctor and get his consultancy. So he saves you, he makes you better, you recover faster, you become more productive. Now, this is a very important aspect. It's applicable in financial management also. People are very reluctant to go to financial management consultants. I strongly recommend to start in the beginning. You go to and keep asking questions, keep clarifying your mind, keep seeing what he does tell you. You will learn a lot because your money is involved. You learn a lot. Then you slowly peel off and start managing yourself if you can do it. Then people are very scary of equity markets. When I say equity markets, the mutual funds, the direct investment by yourself on the stocks, shares, all these things are equity market. I just give an example of myself. I was in the army. Government servant doesn't get big pay. We do not have in army any other opportunity to do side business and things like that because you are always posted in the remote areas. And after 26 years, when I left the army in 2003, the total corpus I had was 21 lakhs. Now, that's not a big money. But with that, within the, and of course, I had the pension. The pension then was, to tell you honestly, I was getting 15,000 rupees. To having 2 daughters who are in college or in final year, I mean, PUC and things like that, I mean, +2 and things like that. Maintaining a standard of living, which we are all used to, is very difficult. But I started working, I started earning more from outside. At the same time, I managed money. But how did I manage the money? Those days, there was no social media, there was no YouTube, this kind of what you get knowledge available. This was not there. Google was in the nascent stage, and only email was there, and DOS commands were there. You all know that better than me. Luckily for me, at the time of retirement, this struck me that people are talking about shares and things like that, what it is. So I went to one brokerage, Way to Wealth brokerage house was there in Nanganallur, near Adambakam is my house. So I went there one day just to see. You are retired, you are trying to find a job. I just went there. And people are talking and things like that. I just kept on watching them. They're pointing out Economic Times newspaper and telling certain aspects of that. So from there, I took off. I started reading personal finance section of Economic Times. And I found it so good. I immediately decided, whatever is, my retirement benefits are yet to come. That is the period now. I decided I will go by what is talk there. And what was talk there is what Subhaya said today in basic principles of investing. And the most important point is you must invest in equity. Mind you, I was not fit person at that stage. I was at an age 55. I was having daughters marriageable within next 2 to 3 years. And I still went for that. And what it helped me is I entered the market when Sensex was some 7,500. Within short span of time, it boomed to 18,000, then to 21,000. I was very happy, you know. Suddenly it fell to 7,500 or 8,000 when the subprime crisis took place. But this Economic Times newspaper that always talk, markets will fall, it will be uncertain, but it will again come up. So I kept my nurse, and within another 6 months, it again came back to 18,000. You won't believe, 2010, my daughters got one daughter married, 2012, another daughter married. This 21 lakhs became 3 times. I got them married, both of them, still I had 21 lakhs. Though I earned money, that was for my living only. I could not save anything at that. So that was without not much of knowledge, I could achieve that. And all of you guys are in a era where your lot of knowledge is available, and you are more intelligent than us because you have been exposed to more things, and you should do well. Why I was trying to tell you is I have seen 3 drops. One was subprime, then was what was that? One drop place in between. Then came this COVID. In all the 3, you saw in COVID, it went from Sensex was something like 57, 58, I think. It went to 29, almost 50% drop. It came back to 67. Question of just 2 years. Just hold on to it. Don't worry about it. It will come back. And yesterday's prediction by forecast by, what is this company? One of the financial analysts and consultants. He says it is going to, Sensex is going to hit in another 1 year, 74,000 or 77,000, something like that. It was a newspaper.
JP Morgan's.
JP Morgan's, correct. Now it is 65, now 60 today, or probably 64 or 65. It is going to 75, assuming that it is correct. It is a 12% jump in 1 year. So it will always go up unless there is a doom. And doom means everybody is going to be killed or dying. Then why you worry about money? At that time, you should be worried about running around in circles. So my advice to each one of you, please be bold, please be disciplined, follow the principles ruthlessly, and invest. Go for equities investments, but to mitigate your risk, have some diversification, which Subhaya talked about. Certain things should be in debt, some may be in gold, probably something in real estate, real estate investment, whether it is physical or through your trust, all these things. I think with that, we'll stop here our subject, because Subhaya has given very elaborate, but he has been in a hurry because so much to talk, and he has covered all of them in his slides, but each one of them requires a lot of time to understand and this thing. So kindly go through them again and again. It's worth your time. That's all I would like to say. And on behalf of all of you and Chennai chapter, I immensely thank Subhaya for taking time off to go through all these 4 sessions. He has spoken to us for almost 1 year for each webinar. Probably he must have spent 1 more hour in preparing it. So that talks a volume for his camaraderie for us, doing this for us. And we look forward to his assistance going forward. And I request all of you to propagate the videos, which is available in the YouTube, to your own children, your own kith and kin, so that everybody benefits. There are so many people who give all these kind of talks in YouTube, but most of them have their own vested interests. Some of them are good, I'm not denying that, but they are all vested interests. This is a systematic build-up from one end to the start point to the finish point, which is very good. So kindly share with the others so everybody gets the benefit. And particularly younger generation, they should be taught all these things so that their financial literacy improves and all of us get benefited. If there is nothing else, let us close here.
So, Navani sir, thanks to you for having me here on this series of shows. So I take pride in having be of some help to the Alumni Association. And I'm basically thankful to you for bringing me into this. I mean, working for some hours to produce all these things are happy hours. So thanks to you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Shanmugam?
Thank you, everyone. In fact, this thought process came from Navani, sir. This is where started in easy discussion, and then immediately sir called Subhaya sir, planned 4 sessions from in-depth knowledge from start to end. Hope all our alumni and their family members, friends will get benefit out of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, let's close. Ravi.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone. Thank you, Subhaya sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Navani
you,
sir.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today.